We are back, and this is episode 74 of the We Are One, You Are Two PlayStation podcast. I am your host, as always, Rob Fanzo, joined once again by my co-host in crime, Matt Rhodes.
Heyo.
How you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic, Robert. How about you?
Oh, I can't wait for this heat to be done and over with. I'm so tired of summer.
I was going to say, you mean summer?
Yeah, this thing we call summer. It's ugly.
Yeah, it's not great here either, let me tell you.
I know. I saw you're in like the mid-70s, low 80s, while we're cooking in the 90s. It's terrible for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has been 90 here within the past week, and that was just atrocious. Today it was, I think it almost hit 90 today.
You poor thing. Almost hit 90.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty intense.
Sounds like it.
For, is it humid where you are? Would you say it's humid?
Yeah, because it keeps wanting to rain, but it won't. It's almost like it's constipated. And so the clouds keep rolling in. We hear thunder. I see lightning, and then nothing comes out. And I really think the sky just needs to go to Taco Bell and get some food in it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, of course.
And then it can rain tacos, and then I'd really be happy.
That'd be great.
But yeah, it's like holding in the humidity. It's terrible.
Gross.
I just want to remind everybody that if you like what you hear, please go rate us first and foremost on Apple Podcasts. Go listen to us on Google Play, Stitcher, Patreon, Podbean, YouTube. Especially go subscribe to us on YouTube. I would love that. That would be great if you could kind of up our numbers there. We would love to see and hear from you over on YouTube. Matt, I'm working on some content that you recorded a couple of weeks ago. I'm trying to get up.
Snap.
We're going to get that up too. And so just to let everyone know too, this episode will be up as every episode has been the past few weeks. Tuesday by 12. Goodness. Tuesday by 12 p.m. Monday for patrons, of course, as well. We're going to be consistent about that every week. And so if you want to join us for $1 over on patreon.com/weare1you2, you can get every episode 24 hours early for just $1. That's all you need, $1. And that helps us keep the podcast going, helps us pay for our space. So, we got a great show lined up for listeners this week. I want to talk about a little bit about Dev's comments about Epic's store that we heard about. I believe that news was just today. I'd have to double check. I want to talk about AA game success or indie game success in release dates. And I want to talk about what it would be like to have fewer game releases as well. And of course, we'll do a PS drop too. And then there's just a tiny bit of news that I want to highlight. So we're not doing our huge news thing like we normally do, but there are a couple of news stories I'll hit on as well. So kind of a slightly different format. This is how things might be from here on out. So if you like it, let us know in comments. Let us know wherever you find us. Leave us a comment. If you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, what you think of the format, and leave us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate that as well. It helps us get noticed. It does a lot for just a little bit of time. So Matt, before we talk about all that, let's go ahead and just talk about what we've been playing first, as is tradition. And I'll let you go first, as is tradition too, because...
Oh, I thank you, Robert. That's very kind of you. I'm going to go with the 2 staples in my life, Rocket League and Fortnite. However, I have been switching it up. That's right. I played PES 2019.
Oh, you did?
I did.
How did you play PES 2019?
That's a good question, Robert. That's a very good question. Apparently, there is a PES 2019 Lite version that is free to play on the PlayStation Store.
That is true, yes.
So, after feeling gypped out of my free full version, I decided to get PES Lite for free as well. And then there's also, they have I think Konami did a PS Plus, members only July reward or something like that, as sorry that Sony was a douche.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So there's a in-game reward or whatever that you get that you can quote unquote download or whatever, or access on their site because of it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So I played a little of that, and then also I've been playing Stranger Things, the game. Now, not the new one that's on PlayStation. I have not downloaded or bought that yet. I wanted to play the first one that was on Android system first, on my phone. I wanted to play the phone game first. And I 100% completed that.
Wow.
Yes, 100%. So...
You're like a filthy casual now with that phone game.
I know, right? Anyways, but I played it. I loved it. I played it to completion. And now I'm excited to buy the one that's for this season.
Very
so the Stranger Things 3 game. That's on PlayStation 4. So
you'll have to let us know how that is, because I did not hear good things about it. So
you didn't?
No.
Well, I mean, if it's similar to the Android game, I think I'll like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, that 8-bit style or whatever, at least like the first one was. So,
right.
Kind of kept reminding me of like River City Ransom.
Okay.
On Nintendo way back in the day.
All right. Sounds good.
But yeah. What have you been playing, Robert?
Well, I'm very excited because Kill la Kill, an anime that I watched some time ago. I haven't finished it. I have a couple episodes left. I kind of slacked off for a little bit, so I'm going to finish it up. They have a game coming out called Kill la Kill If, and it actually picks up right around. It actually, I think, continues the story of the anime, because the anime only had one season. The creator said that he told everything he wanted to tell in one season. And so, it's a lot of fighting. Like, there's it's high schoolers who battle it out in like an arena.
Okay.
And so I got that demo and I downloaded it. It's pretty much everything I wanted. It's long cut scenes with the original voice actors, from what I can tell, the Japanese voice actors. And I think the American ones that did the dub are also going to reprise their roles as well as the original characters. It's the fighting is kind of it's a 3D arena, right? And so you have full 3D range of motion, and it's pretty much the epic, ridiculous battles that the anime has. And so I love it. I cannot wait for that full game. I think it comes out July 23rd, I believe is the date. I'd have to double check on that. It's either July 23rd or July 16th, which I guess if it's this week, right, we'll know, because when we read the blog drop, it'll be there. And so I'm going to have to double check on it. July 25th. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So I'll definitely, I think, be picking that one up. I love it.
Yeah.
It's going to have an English dub. It's published by P Cube, but it's made by Trigger Arc System Works, which I don't know if you know anything about them, but they've made several fighting games. Cool. And so they know what they're doing, and so I'm excited. It's not like it's not Mortal Kombat in depth, but it's kind of like just what I want for like 15-20 minutes at a time. Okay. And I'll play through the story. Yeah. So I've been playing a lot of that when I can. Tried that out a couple times. I played a little bit of My Friend Pedro this week.
Fun.
Just like another level or two. I really need to finish it. I'm only like 15 levels from the end, and so maybe, whether they're about 10 minutes a piece. So I'm probably about like an hour or so, a little less than 10 minutes a piece. I'm about less than an hour away from finishing the game, so I just need to finish it. And speaking of finishing, I need to finish Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I am on the last boss, and she whooped me without giving away too many spoilers. And so I think what I need to do is I just need to go and find some more. I need to do some farming and find some shards and upgrade some of my weapons a little bit, and upgrade some of my powers a little bit before I take her on again, because she smacked me around pretty good. Which, honestly, this game has one of the shards you can collect is like paintings that float around you and protect you, but they also do damage every time you're near an enemy. And it's kind of OP in that way that I've pretty much made mincemeat of every boss in 2 minutes or less through the game so far. And so it's kind of nice to have a boss that's actually challenging me. I've recorded most of the bosses I fought, and I think I'm going to put that up as a compilation on YouTube to show everyone just like literally how OP this painting stuff is, that you can pretty much take care of every boss just standing in front of them and crouching and hacking and slashing away while these paintings float around you and do damage to them. And then I think I'm going to hop back into Sekiro this week because I want to get the platinum. Plain and simple. So when I'm not at the beach this week, I think I'm going to hit up some Sekiro as well.
There you go.
But I am going to take my Vita with me and download a game or two. I actually been playing the original God of War on there. I'm going to play that while I'm at the beach, I think. Because the Vita is not dead. And we'll talk about that in some of our news too. So that's really it for me.
Cool.
All right, shall we move on then?
I think we shall.
All right, so let's go ahead and highlight some of the news pieces for the week. This is sort of like PSN-news, but to be named, I think we're going to call it something different now. I think we're going to maybe call it Newsreel or something like that. right? Just hit.
What is this? What is this? The 1920s?
Yeah. I'm going back. We're doing vintage.
All right.
We'll see. Anyway, I just want to highlight a couple of news pieces from this week because there's not a whole lot really going on. This is kind of that weird summer drought where nothing's going on, and so it's better just to talk about topics. And then when we get into the fall, I'm sure there'll be a crap ton of stuff that we don't care about. So the first thing I want to highlight, just because I haven't finished it, I know you haven't either, is AC Odyssey. This comes via Push Square and Eurogamer. Ubisoft has discovered, and so have players apparently, that during story creator mode, you can actually build your own missions, right? And reward people with weapons, I think, or XP or different things. I'm not really familiar with it. But basically what has happened, let me just read you this statement from Ubisoft. I always call them Ubisoft. Ubisoft. Story creator mode was designed to be a tool for players to let their creativity and imagination run free as they build their very own stories to share with others. Ubisoft writes, XP exploits risk jeopardizing the overall quality, integrity, and purpose of story creator mode, and results in less visibility for the creative, interesting, and frankly fantastic community stories that have been published. And so, I mean, you give people the opportunity to build XP and to build their own missions. People are creating super XP rewarding missions that are real simple, that you can kind of just level your character up at an ungodly pace. And so,
interesting.
Ubisoft did announce that they're going to, quote, reduce the impact of such farming quests on the player experience, and that they will also, quote, actively combat exploits moving forward. Basically, taking steps to ensure that XP farming quests don't appear in Odyssey's automatic recommendation system. They're going to hide all farming quests that are reported for exploitation or cheating. And players who continually and quote-unquote willingly intentionally misuse the tool will be quote-unquote sanctioned as well. So, I mean, I don't know why I guess they're worried about ruining the integrity of the game. But it's just like anything else. If you're seeking that out, you're doing so by your own, admonition, right? You're choosing. If I'm seeking out to exploit the XP to level my character up faster, I'm seeking those missions out. I'm making that conscious choice to do it. So it seems like they're playing a little hardball here. And there was some backlash from people this week about them doing that. They felt like that was kind of cheating. And I also think that people also caught on that. Basically what that does is, Did you notice when you played AC Odyssey there was the ability to purchase an XP boost for cash?
Yeah.
And so I think that's what Ubisoft is really upset with, is it's taking away their ability to force people to monetize the XP farming, right? Yeah. Let's call a spade here. I think that's really what they're bothered by. Yeah. And so
hey, well, good on the creators of the story mode to do that, to stick it to the man, if you will.
Yeah, well, apparently they can't stick it to the man too much longer because Ubisoft is shutting that down. You will not be sticking it to the man very long at all at this point. I thought that was a really interesting little tidbit of news, though. I mean, this is one of the few news stories that caught my eye this week, that they're shutting down people who just basically, they gave them the tools to game the system, and then they were like, oh, wait, we're sorry. We didn't expect you to do that. Why, I don't know, because who wouldn't do that if given the opportunity? I hate the grind in Odyssey. I would do it too.
Yeah, for sure.
So, anyway, that was one big thing that came out of there as well. Let's move on, though, to our second news little story here. So I don't know if you've heard of this little game called Avengers that Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics are making.
No, I haven't, but continue.
Okay, so anyway, it's based on these guys that have had movies out for the last 10 years, I think, right?
Okay. Like the Avengers, like the Marvel Avengers.
Yeah. Not Avengers like the guys that you find at Walmart parking lots that are upset you put the carts in the wrong spot. I'm one of those guys. But anyway, continuing on. So Avengers will be apparently shown at San Diego Comic-Con. Gameplay reveal will be, but it will only be shown. You will not be able to see it unless you're there. And so attendees needing to visit the convention's cavernous hall H at 1:30 p.m. for a panel hosted by its creative director and performance cast, we'll get to see the very first quote-unquote gameplay reveal of Avengers. Now, I personally don't care whether they reveal it or not, because what they showed at E3 looked terrible, if you ask me. And so, that's their choice. If they want to keep it hidden from the public, that sounds a little odd. I understand there's an exclusivity feeling of Comic-Con, but let's be honest, someone's going to videotape that crap and put it online within the first, 2 hours after it's shown anyway. So who are they
100%.
kidding,
Right.
They might as well just release the trailer themselves and save themselves that leak.
Yeah. Save themselves the hassle.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that was the other one of the other pieces of news I wanted to mention from this past week. 3 more tiny little pieces here. One is not PlayStation news. I know we are a PlayStation podcast, as I always like to mention, but I found this interesting anyway because I know Netflix got a lot of slack for the amount of smoking in Stranger Things for this season, to the point where I think future seasons will not have any characters smoking, because no one did that in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, it's said with regard to historical accuracy. So, I mean, you could argue that it's historically accurate that everyone, a lot of people were smoking in the 80s.
Yes, and I agree. And apparently people took umbrage with the smoking at all. So, anyway, this just kind of ties in with that, and that's why I wanted to kind of just quickly report on this. Apparently, according to Variety, they made a decision in Gears of War 5 to not include smoking references because the not-for-profit anti-smoking organization Truth Initiative approached Turner Broadcasting, whose E-League Sports E-Division has broadcast rights to the game, about making the change. An Xbox representative said that the decision was made solely by the developer, the Coalition, and Coalition Chief Rod Ferguson issued a statement to Variety saying, "I've seen firsthand the devastating impact of smoking. It's always been important for me to not use smoking as a narrative device, which is why we made the conscious choice to avoid highlighting or glorifying smoking in Gears 5 and throughout Gears of War universe moving forward." He then tweeted out more details saying his anti-smoking push has been around for some time and that Gears 4 also did not feature smoking in the first place. So, poo-poo on that, all that, I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
That people were up in arms over the cigarettes being used or the cigars, I should say, being used. So,
sure.
If you were one of those people, congratulations. You don't have anything to worry about now. There is no smoking at this point in Gears of War 5. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick question for you. How do you feel about that? I mean, as a person who doesn't smoke or have you ever smoked?
Long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, right? So, I mean, as a person who has smoked before, how does that affect you? Do you think it's a good decision? Do you think it doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters because as somebody who also teaches, and I see the amount of vaping that goes on in high schools, I really don't think they're getting it from video games. They're going to do it whether they want to or not.
Yeah.
And so, you can say what you want, say what you will about the anti-smoking, and I get that, but, the teens I know are not doing it for that reason. They're vaping because vaping is the cool thing to do, and I don't know any teen that's like, oh yeah, I totally smoke because of Stranger Things and Gears of War. So
right, okay, just wondering.
Yep. So whatever is all I got to say about that one. Also came out this week, and I was excited at first, and then I realized it was not coming to the States. But it has been announced that Rocksteady is bringing a Batman Arkham collection for release in Europe this September that includes all 3 Arkham games that are made by Rocksteady, and including the remastered Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then, of course, the PS4 Arkham Knight, as well as all the DLC. Now, interestingly enough, game manager Gaz Deves revealed that the package will bundle in the promotional Earth 2 Dark Knight skin for PS4 owners for the first time outside of North America, and it will be released as worldwide DLC early next year, but none of that is coming to Xbox. So that is still going to remain, I guess, a PS4 exclusive. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I wanted to mention that little gem there while we were at it. Last but not least, and again, I don't really want to spend too much more time on new stuff, but a lot of people were apparently upset that the Cyberpunk 2077 cover was generic looking with the bright yellow background, and were upset that it had the male V character and not the female V character on it. I don't know if you noticed or heard any of this or anything like that.
A little bit.
But anyway, CD Projekt Red has kind of alleviated those fears, announcing that, of course, the cover will be reversible, and so you will get a female V if you really so desire. Looking out
That's
at you.
nice of them.
Yeah, that is nice of them. I really don't care. I don't. I don't even check. I'm sure I have games that have reversible covers. I don't even bother looking.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you if my life depended on it.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, you're not wrong in not caring.
Yeah, I know there are people who are really picky about that kind of stuff, though. And, I can blame them.
To each their own.
Yes,
you know what I
to
mean?
each their own. It's just, as for me, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as the game plays good and I can play as female V in the game, I don't care if I can't.
Yep. I hear you on that.
So, anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the news. Oh, no, there's one more. There's one more. My apologies. There is one more. One little thing that I noticed on Twitter yesterday, and that Push Square picked up somehow too. And see, just like real life, just like Sony, I almost forgot about the Vita. There's been speculation apparently, because since a Cyberpunk Ghost Story, remember him? We interviewed that dev. It was May of last year. We interviewed him. And so he tweeted out that he was going to be one of the last Vita games to ever come to the PlayStation Vita.
Wow.
He tweeted that out. In fact, I interacted with him a little bit on that. And if you really, that's a game that everyone needs to go check out. Sense a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. It looks phenomenal. It looks even better than when we interviewed him last year. And he's releasing a new demo on Steam in the coming months, I believe. Sometime.
Cool. I mean, if you want to hear that interview, it's episode 21, just for anyone.
There you go, episode 21.
Who's wondering?
What was it, like May 17th or May 21st?
I don't know the dates. I just know episode numbers.
I think it was, it's sometime in May of last year. So go look it up. Great guy, great interview that we did. But anyway, he announced that he was going to be one of the final ones, but then Radaleka Games and Calcat Games have also commented on this, and I've interacted with both of them on Twitter as well. They're great guys. They're not aware of any cutoffs. And so there's not anything going away about Vita games no longer being published on the PlayStation Store. I think he was talking about physically, if I remember correctly, because I interact with him pretty regularly. I think he mentioned physically that they might be one of the last ones on cart, because I think they've ordered the cartridges, and I think people mistook that as they might be one of the last games, period. But like I said, Radaleka Games and Calcat Games have come out and said that as far as they know, because they publish games on the Vita pretty regularly every week, half the games we read on the blog that come to Vita are from them. They are not aware of any cutoff dates. So I wanted to mention that. So your Vita is safe for now until you go get a Switch Lite in September.
That's the one little thing that I was going to mention, is that we haven't mentioned the fact that Nintendo announced a Switch Lite.
Yeah, I know. We're a PS podcast, PlayStation podcast, so I was debating whether or not to mention it. I am excited about it. It looks like a worthy successor to the Vita. I will say that.
I was about to say, it kind of looks like a Vita.
It does. And it looks like it has a lot of the portability benefits of a Vita. And so go check that out if you're interested in handhelds like that. It looks really great. It kind of makes me wish we had a Vita 2 coming. But I know Sony has, abandoned that long ago. So I don't foresee us getting that anytime soon. But if you check that out, it does look really good, and I'm super excited about the Switch Lite. $199, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's a pretty good price.
That is, and from what I understand, most people who play their Switch don't ever dock it anyway. And so if you don't,
that makes sense.
Yeah, if you don't dock it, you might as well, I don't see a reason why not to get this.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that for the folks out there. All right. So let's have a little conversation about some of the topics that I want to talk about this week. I want to read a little bit about this from Eurogamer, and then I want your take on it, because I know some people are a little upset about his honesty, but we'll talk about it. So Rebellion's Jason Kingsley, and this comes, by the way, via Eurogamer. I wanted to mention that as well. Didn't want to forget that. This article broke via Eurogamer. He was doing an interview. He signed an exclusive deal with Epic for the PC version of the upcoming Zombie Army 4. And he was speaking in an on-stage interview at Develop Conference this week, attended and reported on by Eurogamer, sister site gamesindustry.biz. There, Kingsley explained that Rebellion took the deal, saying he would need, quote, a bloody good reason to do an Epic Store exclusive. And he kind of clarified that, this was a bloody good reason for him to do it. And so I'm going to read the quote from him. He says, quote, generally, I think that I would prefer not to do exclusives, but I understand Epic's position with it. And quite frankly, they are paying through the nose to build their store. All credit to them. It's fantastic. And we'll take some of their money. Thank you very much. End quote. And so he then was quoted as saying the decision to go with Epic instead of Steam for Zombie Army 4 was purely a business case, and that this was what he thought was best for the studio, and that, it would help them long term by being able to shore up some finances to continue to develop games, I guess, if worried about if this one wouldn't sell enough or sell well enough.
Oh, okay.
And so some people took umbrage with that just for the simple fact that here's a guy basically admitting that he's okay with the exclusivity. He's a dev, and he's happy to take that money and run. And I wanted your thought on that, because we talked to a lot of smaller indie devs who are struggling to finance their game and struggling with that kind of stuff. And I just want to know what you thought of somebody just openly taking that money like that. Does that bother you at all? Do you think he was wrong for doing that?
No. I think it's capitalism at its best. I mean, I don't know if he feels that's the right move for him as far as being able to financially support his studio and continue making games. What's wrong? What's wrong with that?
I agree.
You know what I mean? If they're paying a ton of money for exclusivity, and from what I understand, they're giving developers more money back on the actual product, like more of the revenue from the purchase of the game, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, me either.
It's doing what you can to support yourself, to allow yourself the freedom to keep pursuing your creative visions.
Yes. I would agree.
What about you?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah?
I think,
Okay.
I don't think, we talked to enough indie devs who openly admit that, they're not always in the most financial position to be able to sell their games. And although they would love to be able to do certain things, that it can be difficult for them sometimes to achieve those goals without having to resort to other sources or other funding or things like that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I also just don't understand this from a purely gamer's perspective, that people are so upset and get so outraged over having to open up a different launcher for to play a game, right? So, you got the little icons on your desktop, and oh no, I have to click out of my Steam account and click on this other icon to open up a game. I mean, that's the same thing I do every time I have to get up and switch a disc when I'm playing a physical game on my PS4. You don't hear me go.
Switching from Netflix to Hulu.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and so
I have to exit out of the application first to switch to the other application.
Now,
what the hell's the difference?
I agree. And now I know that Epic has some shady business practices some people will take issue with. Again, what business doesn't have those is my argument there. And you certainly doesn't stop you from supporting other businesses that do other things that you probably aren't aware of. The other issue I take with this, and the thing that makes me laugh a little bit, is that I understand you want Steam achievements and maybe you don't like the layout of the Epic Store and things like that as well. But then you also have people who gripe and complain, or maybe the multiplayer component. I can understand that too. But with like the achievement thing, come on. I mean, they make fun of people for having trophies and achievements on Xbox and things like that. If you really cared about that, you would go with a PlayStation or an Xbox. I mean, I know Steam has those achievements, but if you really wanted like the little points and things for it, right? I don't think that matters that much to people who play on Steam. So I don't know. I just don't see the big deal. I think it's smart for him. I think it's going to help him. If you're a fan of Zombie Army 4, you're probably going to buy it anyway. So who cares where you buy it from? Period.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I just wanted to kind of touch on that a little bit. The other thing I wanted to talk about, because they're a smaller studio, right? Zombie Army 4 isn't what I would say is a big budget AAA game, right? They're kind of in that space, if you ask me, where they're not quite AAA. They're more like AA to me.
Oh, right.
And if I'm wrong on that, please let me know. If you think that Rebellion Developments and Sniper Elite's, that publisher, that makes the Sniper Elite series, if you think that they are AAA studio, please let me know. But I never saw the Sniper Elite games as AAA games. I always saw them as like AA games, personally.
Yeah.
So if I'm wrong about that, please someone let me know. Write me on Twitter at weare1ur2. Email me at weare1ur2gmail.com. I don't care. But I really do think they're more of a AA publisher. Rebellion Developments is. Anyway, I wanted to talk about a little bit about this today in regards to that, because speaking of AA publishers, Greedfall. Have you seen trailers for that?
I have not, no.
First off, looks freaking phenomenal. Right?
Okay.
It looks like Pirates, like AC, the Black Flag type thing. It looks like Pirates meets Dark Souls. Right? Meets like Lovecraft. And so it just looks crazy. Absolutely crazy. The developer, it's published by Focus Home Interactive. It's also made by Spiders, is the name of the dev company. They also made Of Orcs and Men, The Techromancer, Bound by Flame. Focus Home Interactive, of course, published Vampire last year as well. They published Biomutant this year. They're publishing Code Vein. They published A Plague Tale: Innocence. So if you notice all those games I'm rattling off, those are all very much what I would call mid-tier games. Yeah. Right? They're close to AAA, but they're not quite. They're mid-tier. I would still call them AA games, kind of like Darksiders. They're not, not quite of that quality. What I wanted to talk about this with today is, and I have this in the drive if you're looking at it right now. It comes out September 10th. Uh-huh. In September, we have Catherine Full Body on the 3rd, Iceborne from Monster Hunter World on the 6th, NBA 2K20 on the 6th, Gears 5 on the 10th, Borderlands 3 on the 13th, NHL 20 on the 13th, Destiny 2 Shadowkeep expansion on the 20th, Surge 2 on the 24th, Code Vein on the 27th, FIFA 20 on the 27th, and Ghost Recon on October 4th.
And don't forget about Control 2 weeks earlier on August 27th.
Yes. And so, right. And so, if we're going with AAA games, if we just look at the major releases, Ghost Recon, FIFA 20, Destiny 2, NHL 20, Borderlands 3, Gears 5, and NBA always sells like hotcakes. And then Iceborne from Monster Hunter World is going to be huge too, that expansion. That's a pretty loaded AAA month, I would argue. And then you have games like Remedies, this 2 weeks before, which it kind of avoids the problem that we're talking about. But then you've got Greedfall, which falls right in the middle, and Code Vein, which also falls right in the middle, right? And Surge 2, technically, too, even though they're not published by Focus Home, they're a different publisher. What I wanted to talk about is, how can these AA games, how can they avoid this issue? Because this is an issue I see constantly. I saw it with A Plague Tale: Innocence. You and I were talking about this before it came on air. A Plague Tale: Innocence released on May 14th, but in May you had Left Alive, you had Devil May Cry 5, you had Dead or Alive 6, right? And so you had these other AAA games that came out right around it, and yet these developers choose almost, I know it's not purposely, but it almost feels purposely, like they're choosing to release their smaller games in the midst of these major releases. I didn't even mention Rage 2, which came out, which, I mean, AAA studio didn't do well, but still AAA, right? And so how can games like A Plague Tale Innocence and the upcoming Greedfall, how can they avoid this issue?
I don't know if there is a way to avoid it. Because if you think about like the cycle and when publishers want to release games, it's usually, fall. Fall is like the biggest released cycle, right? So I think it's like a catch-22. Do you take your chances with everything else releasing at the same time like that in the heaviest season? Or do you go, a couple months earlier and do like a summer release, which then you risk no one paying attention to or buying because it's the summer?
Well, actually, that's a good point you bring up. Do you think that people don't purchase games in summer? Do you think that do you think Crash Team Racing suffered by being in the summer? Because that's a good example. I think Crash Team Racing just came out a couple weeks ago.
The reason I don't think that's a good example is because that's a nostalgia remaster kind of a thing. And I think those will do well enough any time of the year.
Okay.
Because they're geared towards the people like me and you who have played the originals, have disposable incomes, and summer doesn't necessarily matter to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas, you think of John Q. Public and the regular kind of family who has they go on vacation and stuff like that. So people are, or go to summer camps. The kids are going to summer camp, so they're not going to be at home to be able to play these things.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think it's a weird kind of catch. Like I said, it's a weird kind of catch-22 of what do you do to try to maximize your profits for this game that you're trying to put out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you basically are of the opinion that fall or summer, is not a good release time.
I mean, how many vacations have you taken yet? So far?
This summer?
Because you're a teacher, right? So you kind of work on the same schedule.
Yeah, we've taken a couple of smaller ones. Yeah, we were going to take a huge one, right? And things didn't work out.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you've gone to Disney. You have a couple smaller ones coming around. You're not at your home,
right?
For how many weeks out of the summer? Or you have family visiting, or things like that, where you're focused on that during the summer.
Yeah.
So,
So when would be a good time to release a game like this?
I don't know. I mean, I think spring is a decent time. I feel like, early year is becoming more of a popular thing.
Right, and so that's the other thing too, right? Spring is becoming more and more crowded. And so Plague Tale Innocence that I just mentioned released in the spring.
Right.
And it suffered from that same problem where it could have very easily done well, but I didn't purchase A Plague Tale Innocence because there was so much other stuff that had just come out. I was playing Devil May Cry 5. There was other games that I wanted to get to. And so I couldn't justify another game like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say what's best, And then that's the other thing. If the game's done and you could release it in the fall, why would you wait 6 months to release it?
Right.
Why? Because then that's even more silly, right? Because you're not making a profit on all this investment time that you've spent and time and money that you've spent to make the game.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a deadline thing or if they think, oh, we can get it out for this, so let's do it. I don't know.
It's tough because those are games that deserve to be given the attention because they are fantastic, right? They have a lot of, I've heard nothing but good things about Plague Tale Innocence. Greedfall looks amazing. Vampire, people who played it absolutely loved it, but I don't know how well they did commercially because of what they were doing or how they were going about the release dates. And so I want to see games like those. Like Darksiders 3 is another one. I don't think that did as well as it could have or got as much attention as it could have because of its release timing. I'd have to double check on the dates on that, but I'm pretty sure that was, problematic. And so I would love to see those games do well, but it's tough when you release them around these dates. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out what is the solution for games like this.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to see them suffer because they clearly, a lot of people put a lot of time into these and they look great and they play well from what I hear, but they come when, most gamers' wallets are tight. And whereas another time of the year where they would have had some money to try and explore something new or play something new, they're not going to have that time or they're not going to invest that time now.
Yeah. So here's a question. Because this is a historically slow month. Why aren't there many releases in December, do you think? Do you think it has to do with the fact that most people have spent their money already?
Oh, yeah, easily.
On buying these games?
Yeah, because Black Friday, right? And most people have already gone crazy with the holiday rush. And let's be honest, I think part of, just a little tiny part of it also goes to the fact that games like Call of Duty and some of your bigger titles have owned that space for so long. It's almost, spoken for in an odd way.
Okay.
But I do think, that is a part of it. I do think that people, have a hard time justifying, well, I just went out Black Friday and bought all this stuff for him, for little Johnny.
Right, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know. Would you buy games in December?
I certainly have. What was the last game I bought in December? Just Cause 4, I believe.
Yeah, and Just Cause has done it the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, that's been like their kind of time, I think.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right. So, any other thoughts on that at all? Anything else you want to address or talk about with that?
No, yeah. I hate to not give a solution or give, but it is kind of this weird thing of like, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do to try to maximize your profits for the game, for your game?
Yeah, I don't know that I have a good answer to that for them, but I don't want to see those studios struggle, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Shall we continue on?
We shall.
This is our other kind of conversational topic I want to hit on today.
A tie-in.
Yeah. That I think fits in nicely with this. I was listening to another podcast earlier in the week that I respect very much, and they were talking about the PS5 quite a bit, and they were talking about how Sony's going to focus on bigger games, relationships with bigger publishers, and we talked a little bit about that too, right? Which means potential for bigger releases, more of a, I think, set schedule, so that if you have a Destiny 3, if they have a really good relationship with Bungie, they're not going to release Destiny 3 the same time that, say, Death Stranding 2 is releasing. Right?
Right.
Or Ghost of Tsushima is probably a better example, since we know that actually exists, right? Ghost of Tsushima is not going to release the same time as, say, this third-party publisher, because Sony's working with them and they want both to maximize their profits. And so what this podcast kind of got at was that in working conjunction, that could mean fewer games coming to PlayStation, because they also said that indie games were welcome, but they weren't going to go out of their way to bring indie games to the platform, which I also complained about on Twitter and I thought was a huge mistake, because I love indie games, and I think you and I might have talked about this, about how or at least I mentioned this in my Twitter posts, hardcore gamers are the ones who buy the indie games. If you look at my PlayStation 4, half of it's indie games, half of it's AAA games. Right? because I consider myself a hardcore of the hardcore gamers. And so I want indie games on my PS5. I don't want to have to buy a Switch to play frickin' indie games. But anyway, as a whole, let's say that they don't chase indie developers down, so indie developers don't necessarily publish as much. They're working with third-party publishers to kind of work out a better release schedule. That could mean fewer games coming to a system. And I wanted to just talk to you and what do you think that looks like? How would you feel about that?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't care as long as the quality is there.
Okay.
Because, I mean, how much time do we have to put in, 100 hours into a game anymore?
Yes.
I feel like games are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're getting harder and harder to finish, and it's just a real pain in the butt.
Yes, it is. It's a huge pain in the butt, dude.
Yeah. So, I think you and I would benefit from our fewer releases.
Yeah, our adulting time is important to us because we've got lots of adulting things to do, and so if we can get away with less time to have to do that stuff, or less time to less games to have to play because we have all that adulting to do, I'd be all for that.
Until we get paid for this, and gaming becomes our adulting.
Yeah, that would be nice too.
Then, I don't know, just, I wouldn't mind it. Again, but it has to be games, I feel like the quality has to, at the very least, maintain.
Yes.
Be the same. I mean, if you see fewer releases and a dip in quality, yikes.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it would be real tough. I don't think the quality is going to go down at all. I can't imagine quality ever dipping with that.
No, as technology progresses, it would be very weird.
Well, also, Sony just has their as part of their game plan, quality is super important to them, right? Making high quality games is super important to them. And so I can't imagine the quality of their games dipping for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But I do wonder, I guess, a little bit what that would look like, and if you and I would like that. Would we like fewer games?
Maybe. I think we might. I think maybe fewer games would get us invested more.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? I feel like, think of it this way, right? We went over before in one of the other podcasts about how what are the first day buys, what are the day one buys, or what are we waiting for the bargain bins for? In this schedule of releases that's coming out this fall, because the fall is pretty jam packed.
Right.
Say there's only a few games, and they're all high quality games that you want to buy. You're going to buy every single one of those games, as opposed to picking and choosing. I'll wait. I don't know if I'll let me wait for the reviews. Let me wait for some more gameplay or wait for this or wait for that. Maybe fewer games gets them more money up front. Okay.
I think that also would fit into the business acumen that this whole games as a service thing, right? Because games as a service absorb a lot of time. So if you have fewer games, maybe the games as a service become more appealing. Because they don't appeal to me right now because I can't. There's just, you and I played the Division 2 and we finished it.
We do.
I said we played, past tense.
Oh, okay. As long as you're using the past tense.
We finished it and I want to go back to it, but then I stare at everything else in my backlog and I'm like, do I want to? And if it's not with you, I won't. You know what I mean? There's no reason for me to otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with that. I enjoyed playing the Division by myself when you weren't around in the beginning, but now that the story's complete, I'm kind of like, meh, I'll wait for him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the backlog just continues to grow. Yeah, so it's tough. And so I guess that's what I just keep thinking about is I do think it would be nice to have fewer games on a system. Yeah. But I also know that not every game is for everyone. And so I would be super disappointed if a game didn't come that was up my alley, because Sony decided, well, we don't really need a game like that. And so we're not going to bother. And then all of a sudden I'm not getting X, Y, and Z because Sony doesn't deem it necessary because it's not one of their AAA games.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Especially, you know, for you being a hardcore gamer and you liking the indie games.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, just imagine if Rocket League never came to PlayStation, right? You would probably be...
Yeah.
I probably would have to put you in therapy, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. That would be tough.
I played a lot of Rocket League today.
Case
I was surprised
point.
at myself. Yeah, I know. I was surprised at myself. I was like, man. I was like, oh, 5 hours later. I haven't done a long Rocket League game like that in a while. Gaming session.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I just think about that a little bit. You know, what would people like that do for games like that? And again, I also worry about just whether or not people would buy a system then, because they'd go, well, all these games are on PC. Does that affect sales that way?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think there's always a game where you're like, yes, I gotta buy the console because I know I'm gonna buy that game. You know what I mean? Like, I think if Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is a PlayStation 5 only game, which would make sense if it was, that people will buy the system because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so games like that are locked down. I'm thinking more of the other titles, you know? I would worry, so...
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to run that past you. I was a little concerned when I heard that on that other podcast because I don't want to see stuff like that go away.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if the consoles didn't, it would then fall onto things like Epic Store or Steam, and they would pick up those things. I think they would pick up more of those things then.
I know they would, but do I want them to? You know, don't as a Sony fanboy, right? Because I'll be the first to admit that. Do I want them to pick those things up? You know.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on that? Anything else that you can think of that you feel would be pertinent to fewer games, or how fewer games would make you feel?
I mean, it might help the release window for AA games.
Yeah, you know, we just talked about that. It certainly would help the release window for AA games.
Yeah.
It would help games like Plague Tale probably get noticed. But that's also what I mean. There's that double-edged sword of would Plague Tale then come?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I love my smaller games, and I don't want to see them go away. And I'm sounding like a grumpy old gamer now, but, you know, I get it. Yeah. I get why people would be upset. So
yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap that up. Why don't we go ahead and move on to what I've really been looking forward to talking about this week? No, I'm just kidding. Why don't we go ahead and move on to See You Soon?
See you soon.
Yeah. All righty, kids. This is See You Soon. Matt, I know tradition is you go first on this. I'm going to go first this week. Just to clarify for everybody, if you've never heard us do this before, if you hear us do this every week, of course, this is where we read off the PS Drops blog games, just to show how many games are coming to the system, and we talk about which ones might be our favorites for the week. You know, we don't ever do it mean-spiritedly, but sometimes we do laugh a little bit at the descriptions and how ridiculous they are. The reason I want to start this week, Matt, is because I actually backed this game on Kickstarter to get myself a PS4 version. So I'd like to think I should be getting this in my Kickstarter in the mail sometime soon.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to go back through my email and check this out, but I'm super excited about this. So let me start first. 1980X. Welcome to suburbia, just outside the city, sometime in 1980X. This is the journey of a kid, a teenager stuck between the limitations of innocent youth and obligations of inevitable adulthood. The story unfolds when Kid discovers the local arcade, finding new worlds and new meaning in video games. Now, let me just say what I liked about this game, and the reason I backed it is because it plays all the different. You can play all the game. I think last time they were developing, and I read about it, they were developing it so that you could play all the different. And our name, I think, has been the backer credits for this. Our We Are One, You Are Two podcast. I think I asked them to put that in there.
Nice.
You can play all the different styles of 80 games. So it plays like a Streets of Rage side-scroll beat 'em up. It plays like a like a shooter game, like 1980 shooter game. So it plays like all the different styles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
Sweet. Alrighty, up next we got Captain Cat, PS4 Digital. Captain Cat travels the 7 seas in his boat, using his anchor to fish for the delights and treasures hiding at the bottom of the sea. Can Captain Cat overcome the mysterious dangers along the way to catch enough fish to satisfy his hunger?
Oh.
We'll find out.
Nice. I would play that just because it has a cat. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but I'm not. Yeah, I did. I just want to back up for a second. I apologize. I did put our We Are One, You Are Two podcast in the backer credits. So look for us when you're playing through 1980X. I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm so excited to play that game. All right. The Copper Canyon Shootout. This sounds like an Atari game. PSVR out digital 7/19. Howdy, partners. The Copper Canyon Shootout is a frantic, fast-paced VR shooter set in a Wild West-themed world overrun by robots. Oh, it's like steampunk. You find yourself outnumbered and outgunned against an invasion of corrupted enforcement machines. You must fight your way through the Copper Canyon to rid it of this evil robot horde. That's like Wild Wild West with Will Smith.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad that you didn't continue with the Old West kind of accent.
Oh, really? I'm sorry.
You started.
I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah. Choking out. All right. Etherborn. PS4 Digital out 7/18. Etherborn is an element leap. Oh, not element. Elegant. Etherborn is an elegant leap in the gravity puzzle genre. An environmental puzzle platformer built on exploring and understanding gravity-shifting structures. Travel through beautiful and exotic locations, where each level is an organic puzzle to explore. Manipulate and shift gravity in order to decipher the way forward.
Ooh. Felt like you were a little rough on that one.
Yeah, I got confused by the gravity on in.
Yeah, that's not exactly...
yeah.
I think it should just say manipulate...
Shift gravity on in order to decipher. It makes sense, but I think there should be a comma there.
Yes. Or you could just simply say shift gravity, comma, in order to decipher the way forward.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Flutter Bombs. Goodness, we're running out of ideas. PS4 Digital. Experience nature's wrath in this twin-stick aerial combat game. All right, now you got my attention, twin stick.
Yeah, I was about to say twin stick. That's all you,
Collect
bud.
up to 10 wing sets while battling through the campaign, survival, and boss rush modes. Defend your grove with Flutter Bombs.
Cool. All right, focus on you, PSVR Digital.
Are you?
Yep. Get to know a cheerful yet shy high school student, Han Yua. Recall the memories of your beautiful first love through a realistic experience that was previously unattainable in dating genre games.
That sounds like a interesting take.
Sounds like you're going to creepily photograph her while she's walking around the school.
What was that movie with Robin Williams, 1 Hour Photo? That's what it sounds like, 1 Hour Photo. The game.
I loved that movie. That was so good.
I still have the preview film reel for that laying around my house.
Yeah,
somewhere.
me too. Yeah, like the audience test track. That
no. I'm talking about
or
like
you mean the
actual preview, like the film reel.
Oh, the film.
I took it from the theater we used to work at.
Oh yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah, no, I have a copy of the like bootleg of the version they showed preview audiences.
Oh, you're even
like the testing
fancy.
Reel. Yeah.
Alrighty. Gabuchi. PS4 digital out 718. Choose your snacks wisely in this tasty puzzle game. Gabucci loves gobbling blocks, but you'll have to carefully choose which ones he eats so he can still reach the end of the stage. Gabucci has 180 delicious stages to explore. Still hungry? Use the included level editor to make your own stages. This is, I think it's the same dev. He's an indie dev. Maybe we'll try to talk to him. I think he's the same one that made Super Weekend Mode that I played like 2 months ago.
Cool. All right, up next we got Growtopia, PS4 digital out 718. Welcome to Growtopia, the most creative free-to-play sandbox. Growtopia is a popular MMO game where everyone is a hero. Play together with wizards, doctors, star explorers, and superheroes. Discover thousands of unique items and build your own worlds and join our vibrant community of players. Ooh.
Did you hear me pass out against the mic? As soon as you said MMO.
Oh, you don't like MMOs,
No.
Robert?
I had my Warcraft days. I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Just in case you didn't get enough of your MMOs, let's sing 2019. It's your time to shine. Whether you're training your voice solo or celebrating a karaoke party with friends and family, it'll be a success with Let's Sing 2019's new game modes and features. More song packages available online.
That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it does.
Yep. All right, Mochi
I think
Mochi
that's
Boy,
Mochi
PS.
Mochi.
Oh, Mochi
Yeah,
Mochi?
because those are little, aren't Mokis those little Japanese ice cream balls?
Yeah, that's pronounced
Are you
Mochi.
sure?
My girlfriend has Japanese heritage, and they used to make them
Your
at home.
girlfriend has Japanese heritage. How convenient.
Yeah, I mean, she does. So her grandmother's
If
Japanese.
it was South Korean, you'd be like, she
and
got
they would-
South Korean
and
heritage.
they would make mochi at home.
Yeah, you're right. It is mochi.
when she
Damn
was
you.
a kid.
I looked it up.
I think I know. Thank you. Sorry. All right, Mochi Mochi Boy, PS4 digital, PSP, and a digital cross-buy right up your alley, Rob. Mochi Mochi Boy has to rescue his friends from the devil.
Water boy.
Man, that really took a turn. All right, in order to do this, you must be clever enough to outwit the devil by stretching, twisting, and warping over each tile past 130 floors, 130 plus floors of his tower.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's
Stretching, twisting, and warping.
the friendliest looking devil I've
think-
ever seen. I'm assuming that yellow thing is the devil.
I don't know. I don't know. That's weird.
I might be wrong. I don't know what to play the game and find out. All right.
Yeah.
I want you to know I am reading this next title correctly. Pig Eat Ball.
This cover art is phenomenal.
Pig Eat Ball is a top-down action adventure about eating, getting fat, and barfing on things to solve levels. Explore 20 giant space stations and solve your way through over 200 action puzzle levels using new arcade-style mechanics. I knew to pause after that first sentence for you.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you. Game of the year for me already. Between the cover art and what you have to do, game of the year, 100%. All right. Up next, Redeemer Enhanced Edition. Ooh, this guy kind of looks like
I remember when we
Kratos.
read this one came out last year.
Oh, really?
I remember the cover art.
All right. Cool. All right, Redeemer Enhanced Edition. Brutal, bloody, beat-em-up action without compromise. Redeemer Enhanced Edition is an exclusive top-down action shooter in which you fight your way through hordes of opponents in a variety of different ways. Play alone or in a local co-op mode by turning your living room into an arena. Ooh.
Yeah, I remember checking this one out, and I couldn't remember if I actually decided any verdict on it, but it looks good.
I mean, just from the cover art, it's all red. It seems like a brutal, bloody beat 'em
It is
up.
pretty brutal from what I recall, so
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out. I think it came out. I swear there was a. I don't know. Anyway, I'll have to look it up. We'll talk about it another time. Submersed. PS4 out digital 717. Coast Guard paramedic Jack Ballard, recently reincorporated after the death of his wife, responds to an emergency call from an offshore structure in high seas. The place seems to be abandoned. So who sent the message? Are you afraid of deep water? You will be.
See, I feel like that's a game that would be great for VR.
Yeah, that would be totally.
I was surprised when I was like, this looks like a cool VR game, and as PS4, I was like, oh, all right. Anyways, up next, Super Dragonfly Chronicles. Sweet. Mark West was shocked by his father's death when a mysterious woman reached him and gave him incredible power. Make your way through challenging levels, deadly creatures, and epic boss fights. And epic boss fights. And watch the history of the game coming alive through amazing comic book art cutscenes. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Alrighty. Telefrag. Telefrag VR. PSVR out digital 719. Telefrag VR is a hellishly fast-paced, competitive arena shooter with visceral movement and combat mechanics inspired by classic FPSs. As a space gladiator, dash, run, shoot, and teleport around unique arenas that feature impossible geometry where there is no right side up and where death can come from any direction.
Cool.
Yeah, that actually...
That's it?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, that's it. We got them all.
That actually reminds me of that Sorrento VR that came out last week or this week maybe. That looks super dope.
Cool.
It's like ninja teleportation, gun shooting action. So, it looks like really good stuff. Alrighty. That takes care of everything. And so that takes care of us for the evening as well.
Oh,
or for the day or whenever you're listening to it, the morning. I don't know when you listen to this stuff. Yeah. Whenever, in the shower, in the bathroom, on your way to the work. I don't know.
The work.
You know,
whenever,
the job.
Whenever you're on your way to the work.
Hey, listen, I read Pig Eat Ball, okay?
Yeah, good for you.
So, can't get any worse grammatically. It set the tone. All right. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out. We'll be back next week. If you liked us covering a little bit more topics and a little less news, please let us know. Share your comments with us on Instagram, on Twitter, on my email at weare1ur2@gmail.com. Anywhere you can find us, Podbean, Patreon. If you want to pay $1 and complain to us, I won't complain. And I'll fix whatever you need fixing. Just saying. So, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. Is there anything else that we need to cover this week?
Nope. Right. That's it.
Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. And if you're listening to us, there's no reason for you not to give us that because, gosh, you're listening to us, so you must like us for something.
Right.
All right, kids. Until next time, game on.
Game on. This is the outro music, 1980X outro music.
Streets of Rogue.
Oh, man.